Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Okay, and welcome into another duly noted podcast presented as always by our great friends at Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Dooley Dome Gator Studios, where we're going to have another bachelor's weekend. My wife has just been doing a lot of traveling. Went to Boulder for work. We went to the Washington for her dad's burial. We talked about that last week or a couple weeks ago. Then she went to BravoCon out at Vegas, and now she's going she's on vacation, but she's going to a Savannah for a birthday party with a bunch of friends of hers. Ann Korlowski, give her a shout out. So all that's going on, and I've got another bachelor's weekend. And again, you know how I'm going to spend it by not leaving the house. Very little. I mean, I just literally want to just sit and watch sports. And she's already made me a great pot of chili and leftover meatloaf. I'm set. That's all I need in life. Just something to eat, a couple of beers, watch football. That's what I'm going to be doing. So anyway, I know nobody cares about my life, but let's get to, our guest today will be Scott Rabalais. Of course, he's been at the Baton Rouge Advocate forever, kind of like me, like when I was at the Gainesville Sun forever. He's another one of those people that, it's a dwindling group of guys who kind of have been around the SEC for a long time and are fading away, but he's still plugging away and he's doing a great job. So we'll talk to him all about what's going on this weekend in Baton Rouge. And then Coach Spurrier will join us on Monday. And then I think we're going to get Brandon Spikes next Thursday, a week from today. That's not confirmed yet though, but I talked to him a little bit. He was at the quarterback club. We were wearing the same tie, actually. Both wearing orange and blue Gator ties. Hey, I can do that now. I'm not in the media. See, I can put my Gator helmet up there. So anyway, we'll let you know how that all works out. All right, we got a lot of stuff to get to before we get to Scott. We'll start with our Process Service of Gainesville Starting Five, brought to you by Process Service of Gainesville and Scott Hart, who does a great job there. We appreciate him. And we appreciate all of our sponsors all the time, but I mean, especially during football, because we all know it piles up during football where you get a little bit more sponsorship, and that's great. And I think maybe we'll keep it going with basketball because they're gonna be pretty good in basketball. I don't know there's anything down here. I'm looking at all my notes. Are we going to talk about basketball? I don't think we are. They've got a big game, obviously, on Friday night against Virginia. So I'll be writing about that for Gators Wire. Always write about the big basketball games for them. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to a lot of things. All right. There's a lot going on this weekend. Let's get to it. So let's get to our Process Service of Gainesville Starting Five. We'll start off with number one, which is the story of Jaden Daniels. This is the story of Jaden Daniels. I'm trying to think of what song it is. I heard it the other day. That's why I came up. And he's going to play. We all know that, unless all of a sudden on Thursday when they give him his test before practice, he goes, I can't count backwards from 5 to 1. No, I can't do that. I can't comprehend it. He'll be playing. I don't think there's much doubt about it. He is a guy that is still in my Heisman picture. Now, I've said this before. In November is when I start taking this Heisman really seriously. And I don't vote till you have to vote on the Sunday after the last games, playoff games, or not playoff games, but the conference championship games. So November is when I start really thinking about it. And look, if he has a huge game against Florida, will that increase his chances? A little bit, maybe 1%, but not. I mean, most people have had lately, especially, and I gave you all the stats last week, have had great games against Florida. Good quarterbacks play well against Florida. He's got so many guys that are so good on this team. They've got incredible receivers. It's the best receiver group Florida's gone up against, in my opinion. They got great tight end. They can run the ball. They've got pretty good offensive line. Now, as we know, they aren't very good on defense, but he certainly is a guy. And you go, well, how could you vote for him, Pat? He lost 3 games already. I voted for Tebow. He lost 3 games a year. He won. I voted for him the next year when he lost a 0 game. No, he lost 1 game in 2008, and he didn't win, but he had the most first place votes. Anyway, Lamar Jackson had 3 losses. Robert Griffin had 3 losses. It's not like people are acting like, well, he's out of the mix because they lost to Alabama. No, I totally don't agree with that. I don't know. They wouldn't have won that game if he hadn't got taken out of the game by that hit by Dallas Turner. So we'll see what happens here as far as that game goes. They're number 1 in the country in offense. They're number 96 in total defense. And that's the way their season's been. They're not happy, but don't think they're not going to show up and get drunk and be loud, as everybody does at every place we ever go. But, I mean, Baton Rouge, I've never thought it was ridiculously difficult to play there. And I think it's because I always joke about those of us who are raised on Spurrier, and I wasn't raised on Spurrier. And I mean, that comes from raised on promises, Tom Petty. But I wasn't really raised on Spurrier, but that is kind of like when I really started paying attention to every play of every game for Florida. Because let's face it, there were a lot of games when I wouldn't even be in Gainesville or in wherever they were playing. I'd be covering another game. So, but that's but the point I'm trying to make in a very roundabout way is that they always beat LSU. The one time they lost, it was stunning, and the guy was giving. It's great Spurs story, you know. The coaches were calling him shiny pants because he had those bandit pants on, you know, those silver pants that he wore when he was the coach of the Tampa Bay Bandits. So they call him shiny pants. And the next year, they after they beat Florida, the one time they beat them during that stretch, he was going the defensive coordinator there. I think his name was Carl Reese, as I recall, giving clinics on how to stop Florida's offense. And then the next year, Florida scored 56 on them. You don't think, and Spurrier's like, I don't think that LSU coach is going to be giving any clinics for a while. Anyway, let's get to number 2 on the process service of Gainesville starting 5. And a lot of it, you know, it's very frustrating, I know, for a lot of fans and everything. But you think about if Trey Smack makes a kick, and again, not blaming Trey Smack. Florida lost that game in so many ways. He missed a kick. That was a factor. But if he makes the kick, they win the game. And then Florida and LSU are coming into this game with the exact same record. And one would be considered, hey, Florida's figuring things out. They're bowl eligible. LSU, I can't understand why this season did not go better going into this game. But they didn't win the game. But if you win that game, you're kind of playing with house money at that point instead of feeling this incredible pressure. Now, again, I said this on the podcast Monday, and somebody brought it up on the radio. I don't think Florida's going to a bowl game. I think they're done. I just look at who they've got left to play. LSU in Baton Rouge, 13.5-point favorites. Missouri probably be close to a double-digit favorite. Depends on what happens with their game this week. Certainly, and we'll get to that. And then FSU, even though it's at home, we just saw Florida lose to Arkansas at home. Why can't they lose to a top 4 team at home? So I just don't that Arkansas game. But that's the point. They would be playing with house money if they if they had won that game. But the problem is they're going to a place, and this is going back to what I was talking about earlier about Spurrier, where they don't win. They win. Somebody was saying, Florida usually plays really well there. I'm like, I don't remember them winning a lot of games there. And they haven't. And they haven't won a lot of games in Gainesville either. You know what they are in the last 12 games? 3-9 against LSU. Spurs 11-1. I like that better. You know, I think Urban went 3-3. Because remember, he lost that really tough game in 07 there, where they made 5 fourth downs, and he lost the first time he played there, and that was when he changed the offense. But then he won the last time there, 13-3. That was ironically the Tebow concussion game. So anyway, let's get to number 3, and that is this week's temperature of the room. And again, I can only judge by the people I run into, the people I talk to at the quarterback club, the people who call our radio show, which tend to be extreme, as we know. And the temperature is pretty warm. Now, there's no chance Billy Napier doesn't survive this year. But if he goes 5-7 and doesn't go to a bowl game, there's going to be some pressure on him next year. And we'll see what happens there. But the temperature will be hot next year if that happens. And if he's stubborn about that, he really believes in his system so much that he's going to stick with it. I'm going to stick with the guy we've got being the special teams guy, the game changer. He's changing games, all right. I'm going to stick with him. I'm still going to call the plays. I just think when we get better plays in here, okay, I'm a big believer. The coach has to make the decisions on all this stuff. Whether you bring in a coordinator, whether you bring in somebody to coach special teams, whatever you want to do, it's fine. I believe in letting a coach do that. But if you aren't successful, your job's on the line. So I've been saying all along that I think you've got to give this guy 4 years. The way he's building it is going to take time. He's not trying to do a quick fix. Some schools do that. In fact, we had somebody call the show the other day, and they were talking about 2 coaches why can this guy can win with all, and he didn't even have that great of players. If Smack makes a kick, they have the exact same record as Florida, both coaches he was talking about. Anyway, I think you're getting my point. Maybe you're not. So let's just see how stubborn he is in the offseason, or whether and now again, if he believes in it, right, then he's got to stay with his beliefs, and there better be a success next year. If he makes a lot of changes and it's still not great yet, but the class comes in and the next class is going to be good, then you can feel comfortable giving him that year 4. Again, I'm not making any of these decisions, as you all know. All right, let's get to number 4. Something that has been annoying me this week, but again, we love talking about this kind of stuff on sports talk radio, whether it's Sirius. I listen to a lot of Sirius, or WRUF, where they have a lot of sports talk. Listen to that a lot too. And that is that people keep talking about 2 things, and it drives me nuts. One is, what if Alabama wins out, beats Georgia, and jumps ahead of Texas? And I'm like, that's why we have a college football playoff, right? Is because it gives you something to talk about. And that's what a lot of people did not comprehend for a long time. But the point is, if that does happen, look, I believe that head-to-head matters, but it's not the only defining thing. If you have the same record, but you've won more big games head-to-head, okay, I think it's part of the equation, but nothing is the ultimate. Nothing is the one thing you have to do. Well, you got to win to get in the playoff. That bothers me when people start doing that, although, like I said, we'll probably talk about it today, to be honest with you. The other one is people who talk about the importance of the regular season being diminished by the new playoff system when it comes in at 12. You're out of your mind. It makes it bigger. It makes it more interesting. I've been saying this for, I think, 2 years, and for some reason, nobody seems to be listening to me. Well, some people are. You guys are. But it makes college football season better because you've got all these games that matter late in the year. Right now, we've got a few that do matter, but there's not that many that really are that big a deal, including Florida LSU. Now, if LSU had 2 losses and Florida had 2 losses and they were playing this game, it would be gigantic. It would be loser maybe out of the playoffs, but even with 3 losses, there would be a chance. It's just going to make the regular season, more regular season games are going to matter just as much. The big ones will still matter, and the other ones will matter too. There's a bunch of games this week that I'm looking forward to and looking forward to watching, but they aren't going to affect the playoff this year, but they may affect it next year. Next year, it could be a factor. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right, number 5. This was interesting. I was reading this today, and the NFL is all about protecting quarterbacks. I was listening to the supervisor of officials. I was on Feinbaum's show, and he was talking about how pro football is taking it too far, and you can barely even breathe on a quarterback, and before it's a penalty and everything. And and there's been quarterbacks who said, I don't have a skirt on, all that misogynistic crap. But the point is, even with all the protection these guys are being given, there is a record that will be broken this week in the NFL, and that is 10 rookie quarterbacks starting, 10 different ones. Rookie quarterback starting because everybody's hurt and they have no choice. I can't even remember who it was. Tommy DeVito is getting a start this week. And they signed Matt. Now I'm blanking on the team he plays for. It doesn't matter. I don't think so. But they signed Matt Barkley. Matt Barkley hadn't played since 2020. He's their backup. If DeVito goes down, he's coming in the game. These guys, and I talk about this a lot, NFL, it's a bunch of fast balls of muscle coming at you all the time. Now, I know there are fat guys in the NFL, but I'm just saying, linebackers, strong safeties, defensive ends are coming at you, and they are built, and they work out all the time, and they have had the benefit of usually 3 to 5 years of college weight training and now NFL weight training, and they are fast, and there's a reason they're in the NFL because they're really good, and they are coming at you hard, and they want to put pressure on you. And sometimes you get hit, sometimes, like in Aaron Rodgers' case and Kirk Cousins' case, you just tear your Achilles. Maybe the quarterbacks are working out too much. Maybe they're taking the note from Tom Brady, and they should. But it is weird. 10 different rookie quarterbacks starting. And no, it's never happened in NFL history. All right, so that's going to do it for our process service of Gainesville starting 5. That was a lot of fun. We always appreciate all of our sponsors and all of our people who do respond. Somebody's going to remind me of who Tommy DeVito is starting for. I can't believe I can't think about it. He was the Syracuse Giants. That's who it is. Thank you, Zach. And the Giants, of course, Daniel Jones out for the year. So they're in trouble. They're not going to probably win a whole lot of games. That's going to do it for our process service of Gainesville starting 5. We'll be back with Scott Rabalais after we take this break. You are watching or listening to another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Dooley Dome Gator Studios.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life, and the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
Gator fans, football season is here. What's better than seeing the Gators back on the field? Easy. Seeing amazing speakers and fellow Gator fans weekly at the Gainesville Quarterback Club. Held every Tuesday night of a home game at the Best Western Gateway Grand. Enjoy happy hour, great food, valuable insights from yours truly and Andy Staples, plus notable speakers throughout the season. As the oldest Gator booster club in the world, Gainesville Quarterback Club gives you access to elite speakers like coaches, NCAA football insiders, Gator greats, and more. Share your passion for Gator football with hundreds of other members at weekly in-season meetings, home tailgates, and special events throughout the year. Join the Gainesville Quarterback Club today. Email the club at membership@quarterbackclub.org or visit thequarterbackclub.org. Or better yet, just give me a call and I'll get you to the right people.
Process Service of Gainesville offers a rapid turnaround on affidavits of service for Gator lawyers locally and nationwide. Our friend Scott Hart offers immediate responses on status requests and is a member of NAPS and FAPS. And he has been a part of the community for almost 2 decades. Need service? Call Process Service of Gainesville at 407-697-9592 or email shartgators, that's G8TR, at yahoo.com. And make sure you ask about the paralegal legal secretary bonus program.
Thursday, November the 16th, come celebrate the release of our Spurrier's Gridiron Grill Lugo's Risky Rum. This exclusive release features a special spread of our farm-to-table food, rum cocktails, raffles, and a meet and greet with me. Each ticket includes a bottle of Spurrier's Single Barrel Select Risky Rum. And I'll sign the bottle if you'd like. So get your ticket before they sell out at spurriers.com.
All right, welcome back to another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Dooley Dome Gator Studios. It's a great pleasure to bring on a longtime friend and one of the legends in the SEC, Scott Rabalais from the Baton Rouge Morning Advocate. And Scott, first of all, how are you? I haven't seen you in a while.
I'm well, thank you. Legend, wow, that means a lot coming from you. But that means old, folks. That's what Pat is trying to say in a nice way.
That's what I always tell people. They go, "This guy's been doing this forever," and I go, "Well, you're just trying to say I'm old."
Exactly, but it's nice to hear nonetheless. Right.
Yeah. All right. Let's start off with the obvious thing with the whole Jaden Daniels thing. And first of all, your take on whether it should have been targeting or not. And second of all, I mean, there's not much doubt he's going to play this weekend, right?
Yeah, it looks like we have to see after practice today. We'll hear from Brian Kelly for the last time this week, and then he's got his coach's show tonight. But he's trending that way. It seems like if I had to bet, I would say Jaden will play on Saturday. It's a little iffy if he's got a concussion, which we assume he does. But that as far as the hit goes, what's a hit? What's a catch, right? I mean, who knows? This is sometimes he says. I will say this: I've seen less things called targeting. Put it that way. And of course, the LSU fans, if they can't beat Alabama, at least they want something that adds to the conspiracy theory of the SEC is in Alabama's pocket, and Patrick Peterson's interception wasn't called in 2009, and the Vidal Alexander's pulling the guy off the pile in 2014, and they throw sportsmanlike conduct. So this just adds to that. It wouldn't have changed the game any. LSU's already down 2 touchdowns; they still would have lost. But it's fuel for the fire, and people are sticking pins in the little Nick Saban voodoo dolls, and hoping that makes him feel old, and finally realize, hey, maybe I'm going to hang this up, but can't count on that.
Yeah, it is kind of weird that I mean, as much as LSU fans love Nick Saban, obviously when he was their coach, now that he's not their coach and he beats them a lot, and they don't like him anymore. It's totally different atmosphere there.
It was funny, Pat, when he coached the Dolphins those 2 years. The first year they played a game in Tiger Stadium because the Superdome had been damaged by Hurricane Katrina, and they had to play here and everywhere. And I remember him going back to the team bus. They beat the Saints, and people were cheering for him and for the Dolphins. And he was going back to the bus. It was like the Rolling Stones were leaving this Tiger Stadium after a concert, and changed a little bit after that. But then he was treated like a conquering hero.
We talked about Jaden Daniels, but and I talked about this in the first segment. I mean, he's still on my list of guys I'm considering for the Heisman. It's not a deep list. I mean, it's 6 or 7 guys, but it's not his fault that they've lost 3 games. He's done everything he can do. And who he reminds me a little bit of, and I say this and I know somebody's going to lose their mind about it, is Colin Kaepernick. When Colin Kaepernick was in college, I loved watching him play because it was almost like he glided when he ran.
Yes.
Same way with Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, he's been tremendous. It's a little other than the team success. It reminds you somewhat of Joe Burrow's 2 years here at LSU. First year, some ups, some downs. Is really going to be that great, and then just blossomed the second year. And Jaden's been tremendous. He's the best dual threat quarterback in the country. I mean, he was just he actually for only playing 3 quarters and a play. He outgained Jaden Milroe the other night. They threw for the same passing yards, and he had him by like 8 yards rushing. Jaden, of course, had the 4 rushing touchdowns. But he's been tremendous and such a threat. I mean, the LSU's still number 1 in the country in total offense because he can throw deep to these guys, and he's throwing deep very well. And then he can take off and run, or they can hand it off to Logan Diggs. It's when he's healthy, it's quite an offense. So, I mean, I would still vote for him. Of course, some people say, yeah, you cover LSU, but I haven't seen anybody better. But I think he's got a headwind in that, Pat, as well as I do, the psyche of Heisman voters. I think deep down, a lot of people want to vote for the best player, or they perceive to be the best player on the best team, and clearly he is not that. So we'll see if that that scuttles his chances completely, and he should at least be a Heisman finalist, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, and I think again he's going up against a defense that has totally fallen off the rails in the last 3 games, giving up 40 points a game. But and so he'll probably do pretty well in this game. But he does the weapons he has. I don't know if they make him or he makes them, or it's just a combination. But Neighbors is probably the best in the league. Thomas is leading the league in touchdown catches. You got a great tight end out there, obviously, and Taylor. I mean, it's there, and of course Diggs, and a pretty good offensive line. So it is kind of a perfect storm, but defensively, they're 96 in the country, and I still can't figure out what has happened to their defense, why it's not very good. And I know you guys have examined it and looked at it, but why are they not any good on defense?
I brought up this phrase a couple of times this season, Pat. It wasn't just hitting the iceberg that sank the Titanic. And, they were going too fast. They ignored the ice warnings, the design of the ship, the rivets. It was a bunch of things. Which is usually what happens in something terrible that happens, right? Something bad that goes wrong. And they've had. I will say, not to make excuses, they've had a couple of headwinds this year. Jimmy Lindsey, the defensive line coach they hired from South Carolina, had some kind of medical emergency in preseason. It's got to be. They haven't said it had to be a stroke or a heart attack, and he's never come back. Shuffled the defensive staff. Then Greg Brooks, of course, starting safety, who was Patrick Peterson or Grant Delpit or something like that, but a good solid starter. Has this brain tumor. He's currently up in Memphis at St. Jude getting treatment. So obviously people still think about him. But people see a number 3 sticker on the back of the LSU's players' helmet Saturday. It's for Greg Brooks. Right. But it doesn't excuse the fact that that they made this ridiculous decision to try to move Harold Perkins inside against Florida State. And as Marlon Favorite, a former LSU player who's on the radio here, he said he looked like a robot. He just he didn't play with that instinctive go after the ball, create havoc attitude that we saw last year, and they moved him back outside. But that was a bad move. The front 7 hasn't played well. You figured they were going to struggle in the secondary because they lost some starters who they had brought in last year. And they've kind of been stuck these first 2 years of the Brian Kelly era on this transfer portal merry-go-round. And all 4, they brought in 4 transfer corners this year. 2 of them are out hurt, and 2 of them are in limbo, let's say suspended. So they've gone with freshmen. Javen Toviano started as a freshman at one corner against Alabama, and the other is Sage Ryan, who's a converted safety. So those are problems, but it doesn't excuse the fact that they've just been gashed. I mean, Alabama ran for 288 yards, and like I said, Milroe had a record. 4 touchdowns, a record for an Alabama quarterback. You think in the wishbone days they would have had 4 touchdowns against North Texas or something, right? But no. So they brought Pete Jenkins back in, who I don't know if he ever coached at Florida, but he's been a lot of places.
He did.
The defensive line guru, and he told him you got to get up on the line. From the first things he said was you got to get up on the line more. You got to crowd the offensive line more, which is like that seems like something you wouldn't need Pete Jenkins to come in and tell you. So
You probably got a good consultation fee for that too.
Oh, sure. He's still here as an analyst, 82 years old. God bless him. But it's we just saw USC, a team in similar straits to LSU, fire their defensive coordinator Alex Grinch, team with great offense and a really porous defense. And I don't think Brian Kelly's going to make that kind of in-season move with Matt House as defensive coordinator or anybody like that. Matt House did a pretty good job last year. They won a couple of games because of their defense, particularly the Arkansas game up there. They won 13-10 up in Fayetteville. But something's going to have to change because, like I said, it's not just the players. It's got to be scheme. It's got to be recruiting. It's got to be coaching. It's got to be a bunch of things. So we'll see. But I think it'll be a shootout Saturday. I mean, Florida's offense has improved, and if Jaden Daniels plays, it's going to be a game probably like the Arkansas game this year, which was 34-31.
Yeah, I think it may be higher scoring than that. We'll see. But again, Florida's probably going to score in the 40s to win this game, and that's you never want to go into a game thinking that that's what you have to do. Let me ask you this: and again, Scott Rabalais from the Baton Rouge Advocate coming to us on their Big Mills Cheesesteaks Zoom line. What is the rivalry like right now in terms of the fans, and what will they be like on Saturday night? Because I know, I mean, it's been pretty heated the last few years, but I don't know, because they're both coming in with 3 losses, or in Florida's case, 4 losses, whether that kind of diminishes the rivalry.
Yeah, probably a little bit. I mean, it's not like a game when they were both, in the top 10 or something like that, or it's probably a little bit taken off. The whole Billy Napier factor is something because obviously he coached here a long time, and he spoke very in a very complimentary way of his time at Lafayette yesterday on the teleconference. It says still got a lot of friends here, and of course some people probably still wish LSU had picked him to be the coach or tried to hire him. Certainly, Brian Kelly, much older. He just turned 62, so. Billy Napier's got a lot more years to coach, but I don't think LSU was ever going to hire the coach from UL Lafayette. Politically, yeah. that was a no-go. I think people are for years they resented the fact when Florida has been going really great that LSU had to play them, and Alabama was playing Tennessee every year, for example, and they're down, and LSU's already got to play Alabama and Georgia and these teams in the West that are. Not Georgia, Auburn, the teams in the West that are good. And then now that the series is going to be, obviously the LSU goes to Gainesville next year, but after that, we don't know when they'll play again. I think there's a little bit of nostalgia for it. This unlike some of the other series, this series, as you well know, predates the divisional play. Going back to 1971, they played. That's a long time, and there've been a lot of great games. And it's one of those rivalries like LSU and Auburn. That it's not like the one that you think of the most. It's not the Iron Bowl, and it's for Florida fans. I'm sure it's certainly not the Florida Georgia game, but it's a great rivalry that's had a lot of great teams, a lot of great players, and it's one of those things that's kind of a shame that they won't be playing every year anymore. And LSU's got a lot of those. They're not going to play Auburn every year. Mississippi State, they played more than anyone. In fact, that's the closest school geographically to LSU. And they played them more games than anyone else, and that series is going away. They played for 80 straight years. So I guess that's progress, Pat. But it's a bit of a shame because there've been a lot of great and memorable games in this rivalry for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of like Florida Auburn. I mean, they never play anymore, and that's the closest school to Gainesville is Auburn, but they hardly ever play. It's kind of weird. I know I noticed in one of your columns you were talking about how much you want to see an LSU Notre Dame bowl game, and that I hadn't even thought about that. But when you wrote that, I went, "Oh, that would be cool. That would be must see TV. That would be fun to watch." Either that or LSU Southern Cal, and the score could be in the hundreds.
Well, LSU and Southern Cal they're going to play in Las Vegas next year to open the season, so we'll see what they have then. But this year, yeah, neither team could stop the other one. That's for sure. It would be in the 50s on both sides probably, but. It's this is I'm sorry, where do we go? I got off the track with you.
No, just the LSU Notre Dame.
LSU Notre Dame. Sorry.
What bowl game do you think they could go to?
Well, I saw the ESPN projections. One of them had them playing in the Gator Bowl, and one of them had them playing in Tampa at was now the ReliaQuest Bowl. I'm sure people have heard that name change. So that would be interesting. I'm sure Brian Kelly would hate it. But it'd be very interesting. Ed Orgeron tried to hire Marcus Freeman at LSU to be the defensive coordinator, and he went to Notre Dame. And then Brian Kelly, I think, wanted him to come with him, but he did not. Obviously, got to stay and be the head coach at Notre Dame. So what you gonna do? But that would be very interesting. A lot of players that Kelly. It'd be the most. Put it this way, from just that perspective, it would be the most interesting LSU bowl prospect. Yeah. One of the ones they could go to, and they both have 3 losses right now. So it seems plausible that if they kind of continue on the similar track, they both finish 9-3 or 8-4. That could be a matchup that we see.
All right, it's time for us to play our yes, no way, or maybe. Brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteak, street dining done the right way. If you go in there and say you watched or listened to another Dooley Noted podcast, free fries with your order. Number 1 on yes, no way, or maybe. Scott, you have tasted Gator on a spit at a tailgate in your lifetime.
Yes, I have. And it's like chewy chicken, Yeah.
It is. I've had it too. Actually, they make it at Ballyhoo. It's unbelievable there. In fact, they come out to our golf tournament every year and do it on the course. So it's
really okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there'll be a gator being roasted somewhere on the campus Saturday. I can.
It'll be more than one. Probably be a couple. All right. Number 2 on yes, no way, or maybe. Your least favorite coach of all time at the LSU, where you've been for a long time covering the Tigers, is Will Wade.
No, I would not say Will Wade. Will was at least entertaining. Yeah, obviously he broke a lot of rules, but Curly Holman was my least favorite coach of all time at LSU. Wow. It was the first coach. Back when I started covering LSU, I went to LSU. I'm from Baton Rouge, fully admit. And they put me on the LSU beat in 1992. They went 2-9. And I was like, I never thought LSU could lose 9 games in a season. It was the worst season they ever had. And then the next year they lost to Florida 58-3. That was the game where in Baton Rouge. Yeah, it was the worst home loss ever for LSU. And then later that year they beat Alabama, ended the 31-game unbeaten streak in Tuscaloosa, which is the biggest upset by the point spread LSU ever had. But Curly Holman, he was just in over his head. Brett Favre made him look like a great choice for LSU when he was at Southern Miss. And they just didn't work out, not by a long shot.
I understand. And finally, on yes, no way, or maybe, for Scott Rabalais, LSU will repeat in women's basketball and baseball this year
as national champs.
National titles.
Oh, I would say no. I think the women obviously got off to a bad start with this loss to Colorado, but it's basketball. It's a long season. They got to find some chemistry, and so I think it's hard to bet against Kim Mulkey. And the baseball team, I think they'll have a very good team again this year. But losing Dylan Cruz and losing Paul Skeens, that's 2 big blows there. I think they'll be very good again. I think I would pick them to go to Omaha again. But winning it's just hard. It's gotten so competitive in baseball. It's people have pined for the days that LSU's not as dominant as they were under Skip Bertman. There's a lot more schools that care about baseball now that are competitive. It used to be LSU, Miss State, Florida, a lot of years, and now it's a lot of schools. So no, I would say no. They're not both going to repeat. No.
Yeah, it's I always tell people it's hard to go to Omaha. It's even harder to win the whole thing. I mean.
It's a crapshoot once you get there, a lot of ways.
Exactly. No, it certainly was this year, but LSU got it done. And the weirdest 2 games I've ever seen in my life to finish it off.
Can I tell you a quick story about that, if I may? I did not go to Omaha this year for the College World Series. My youngest daughter just graduated from high school, and she was in the choir. She's at the all-girls Catholic school in Baton Rouge, and her choir and the choir from Catholic High, the boys' school, went to Italy. And my son got engaged in Rome on this ancient Roman bridge. And it's just, I told him I had to go. And of course, LSU ends up going. So we're in Assisi, Italy, okay, the little village where St. Francis is from. And watching the game at our hotel on this covered patio on the side of the mountain. The game came on at like 1 a.m. over there. One of the other dads brought the TV out of his hotel room, hooked it up to his phone, and we watched it out of the last game of the championship series out on the patio till like 4:30 a.m. and it worked great. So I wrote a little column about it. If people Google it, they I don't know if your Florida fans want to read about it, but it was kind of fun having a CC Italy dateline on my College World Series column.
Yeah, that probably won't happen again.
No, probably not. Once in a lifetime.
Scott, it's always great talking to you, buddy. Miss seeing you all the time, but keep plugging away. You're doing a great job, and
Thank you, Pat.
A legend. And you've got it up. That's the year you played, the 2021, right?
Oh yeah, yes, the Masters. Yeah, I played in 2001. I shot 107. If people want to know, yes, I parred 13. That was it. Yeah, I hit every water hazard except the one on 13. But it was a great experience. You played, right?
I played 96 when I was still young enough to be able to move. I shot 85 and actually should have shot better, tripled the last hole. But it was it's still. Don't tell my wife this, but it's the best day of my life.
And they treat you so well. We drove down Magnolia Lane. We used the champions locker room. I put my stuff in Sevi Ballesteros' locker.
Ew.
We had breakfast on the veranda, and so we're having breakfast out there. And Jim Nance comes by on a golf cart, and one of the other sports writers, Sam Farmer from the LA Times, goes, "Jim, are you playing today, Jim?" And he says, "No, I've just come to say goodbye to the golf course." I'm like, "Oh, that's going in the column that I'm writing about."
Wow, that's great stuff. Always great talking to you, buddy. We'll be back with more of another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Dooley Dome Gator Studios right after this.
This week, the Gainesville Quarterback Club welcomes program editor and publisher of Gator Bait Magazine and The Buddy Martin Show, Mr. Buddy Martin. Very much looking forward to having him here at the club. And the next week, we have the HBC himself, Coach Steve Spurrier. Can't wait to hear what Coach has to say about this season.
I was driving behind a lady, and very suddenly she moved out of the way. There was a log laying in the road, and when I hit my brakes, I went on top of the log. I had 280 discs. I just haven't been the same since. Jeffrey Meldon fought for me all the way. Him and his team really went there for me. Throughout the whole lawsuit, he made sure that my bills was paid. It was never no whenever I called him and asked him for something.
Call Meldon Law right now.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from another Duly Noted podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What gave you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place like this?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it. All right, welcome back to another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Dooley Dome Gator Studios. Hope everybody has a great weekend out there. By the way, if you do listen to the tailgate, we will not be doing a show Friday on Veterans Day, and Veterans Day is a very important holiday, as we know. So we will not be doing a show. The campus is closed, so we're not going to be doing a show there. But we will be doing a show today if you want to listen. Let's get to our Hesser and Kipke three things. Hesser and Kipke, of course, is a Gainesville law firm specializing in the areas of workers' compensation and family law. Ken and Jennifer take great pride in their one-to-one focus on each and every client they represent. Ken is board certified in workers' compensation law by the Florida Bar, while Jennifer possesses extensive jury trial experience with a nearly 20-year background as a prosecutor. Don't believe me? Well, check out their 5-star Google reviews. Set an appointment at hklawfl.com, or better yet, just give them a call at 352-339-9920. Hesser and Kipke. We appreciate Ken and Jennifer for being a big part of this show and the podcast. All right, let's get to it. Number one. All right, I'm just going to say this out loud, and I'll probably get yelled at for it. I am so tired of the Michigan story. I've gotten to a point where I'm just want to go, forget it. It's okay. They cheated. They knew about it. Everybody's doing some form of cheating. It's against NCAA rules. Okay, whatever. Michigan, we're not gonna, or you better not suspend our coach. Whatever. He's not getting suspended. He's going to coach in the playoffs. They're going to make the playoffs. You just got to live with it. Eventually, there could be something come down. And I also, another thing that drives me nuts, all these people going, well, of course, what's going to happen is in January, they're going to come down with a ruling, and by then he'll be in the NFL. You don't know that. Look, everybody wants to say Harbaugh is going to leave and go back to the NFL because college football, the NCAA is out to get him, and he hates all these stupid rules and the NIL and stuff. And I'm like, you don't know that. You don't know that a job's going to come open that he is attracted to. I mean, I don't think many coaches, and in fact, Coach Spurrier was this way. Jobs would come open, he would talk to people, and I don't think that's the right one for me. Now, he took the wrong one in the end, the Washington job. There's no doubt about that. But anyway, my point is, I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of talking about it. I'm tired of hearing about it. Tired of everybody else talking about it too much. I'm getting on people way too much today. People who do exactly what I do, and I'm getting mad at them. Maybe I need to stop that. Okay. Number two on the Hesser and Kipke 3 things. This has been a rough off season for myself and Jeff Cardozo, Major League Baseball wise, because we are both friends with David Ross, and he got fired, of course, and they've moved in council. And again, David's going to be fine. He'll probably get a job, be a head coach somewhere, manager somewhere. Hey, look, when you live in a college town, everybody's a head coach. But that happened, and then Ron Washington leaves and you can't blame him. He got another chance to coach manage the Angels. Really, you're coaching, right? Anyway, he's going to manage the Angels. And of course, he was a huge part of the Braves' success. The young players gravitated towards him. He worked so hard with the infielders, making them better. Braves are going to miss him. So a rough offseason for people who cared about those two guys. Anyway, finally, number 3 on Hesser and Kipke's 3 things. Great to see Bradley Beal back in action last night. And again, he's had a back injury, missed 7 games, had 13 points last night for the Suns. I wish we had gotten to see more of him. The funny thing about Bradley Beal is when he was here at Florida, he was good, and then he got great at the end and almost carried them to a Final Four. And in fact, I remember being in Phoenix for this, and it's the Elite Eight. They're playing Louisville, right? Playing Patino's Louisville team, yeah. And Beal made like 2 threes in a row, and I just turned to the guy next to me and went, ka-ching. He goes, what? I go, that guy's going pro, and he's going to make a lot of money. And he has made a lot of money. He's a really good player. I wish we had gotten to see more of him. Ant was here 1 year, and I wish we had gotten to see more of him at his greatness. And it really kind of happened late. But like, he was still good early. Don't get me wrong. He was good early, but he became great. And that's when, I think he was going out anyway, but anyway, I think you get my point. Anyway, 13 points last night, coming back from that back injury. So good for him. He only made 3 of 12 shots. And again, he's rusty. He's been out for a while, but good for Bradley Beal. That is our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. We move on to our Adams Ribco to go Gators of the week. Adams Ribco to go. You got to go there and get that barbecue, man. My wife has made me all this food and left me some food, and I'm still going to go get some ribs from Adams at some point. I'm going to go, I had lunch one day. It's not like she's checking up on me. But anyway, our Adams Ribco to Go Gators of the week are all the people who signed yesterday with Florida. And the reason I bring it up is it is the signing day nobody really cares about except the coaches, and Florida is bringing in, stockpiling great talent again. Baseball, number 3 class, softball, another great class, gymnastics, more great gymnasts. They've already got 6 true freshmen on the team this year. You can go right through it, swimming, track, and you see all these things coming up on Twitter or on Facebook or anywhere else, and you go, I guess this is important, but it gets no publicity. Nobody's covering signing day except, people who are forced to write about it for this. Now, in a few weeks, they will cover it like it's the most important thing that ever happened in the history of the world, because that's football signing day. But every other signing day was yesterday. And I want to congratulate all those people who got scholarships, in some cases full, in some cases partial. I think baseball's minimum is 33% now. But still, you got to Florida with a scholarship to play sports for one of the great athletic programs in the country. Thumbs up. Good for you. I am making you all of you, I don't know how many you are, the Gators of the week, coming to you from Adams Ribco to Go. Appreciate Adam very much. Let's get, speaking of somebody I like very much, our Leonardo's at Millhopper quick picks. And again, guys, giving you 2 games, and we're going to do it with the spreads this one, okay? Both of our games in the state, right? Florida getting 13.5 at LSU. That's a lot of points. I'll let you know where I'm going in a minute. And then FSU giving 14 against Miami. That game's in Tallahassee. So, I mean, look, Miami's got a weird team. They are one of the weirdest teams, and I think it reflects on their head coach. But anyway, those are the quick picks. So you got a lot of points to play with there. You could go with both underdogs, and maybe you end up with 2 10-point losses and you're happy. And that'll qualify you for our Adams Ribco to Go, for our Leonardo's at Millhopper quick picks. I'm getting all our great sponsors confused, all my good friends that have been so great to us. Speaking of them, let us get to this, that, and the other. It's brought to you by Ironwood Golf Course, by Ballyhoo Grill, where I think I am going to stop and have a beer tonight. Yes, I'm allowed. I'm saying it out loud so my wife will know that I'm doing it, because I think our show's ending a little bit early. And, of course, by Shakow Insurance. We appreciate all of our great friends over there and all of our friends who are part of this broadcast. All right. This was Cardozo walks in, and we're talking yesterday, and I'm saying on the air, I go, yeah, Florida got a pretty good player. He goes, yeah, he's 7'7". I go, no, he's 6'5". That's a difference of 14 inches, I think. So that's a this. Then that was, no, I said, Jeff, I think you got some bad information. So I didn't say it on the air, but I said it to him privately. I said, I don't know where you got this from, but he goes, well, I got it from this person, blah, blah. And he told me, I go, well, it sounds like a pretty good source, but they didn't get a 7'7" guy. That's that. And the other is, yeah, they did. they got a commitment from a 7'6" is what he's listed at. His name is Olivier Rio. Plays in Canada. Now he's out at IMG. Played in Canada. Tallest teenager in the world, according to Guinness Book of Records. And I've watched a little video of him. He moves pretty good, but I mean, moves like he's 7'6". So please do not complain about Florida not having any big men. That's always been the knock on. It was a knock on Mike White. Sometimes it was a knock on Billy later in his career. Not enough big guys. You don't have big guys. They got a ton of them right now, and they're bringing in a 7'7" guy or 7'6", whatever he ends up being. I want to get a tape measure on. That's the funny thing. I always would make fun. Guys would be listed as 6 foot tall, and I go, he's 5'10". Well, when you put your sneakers on and you stand up really tall, and it's 5'10" and 4/5, we'll give you that. Anyway, so another good move by Todd Golden. We'll see. I mean, again, who knows how good the guy is? I haven't watched him play other than 4 seconds of video film, so we'll see. But it's pretty cool. All right, let us get to our Swamp games of the weekend. We got some great ones. And again, we're going to give, this is a way, I like doing it this way, where I give you the noon game, the 3:30 game, and the 7:30 game. And yes, I have written them all down that I'm going to watch. Let me find them here. They're right here. Right here. I got them all written down, ready to watch them on Saturday. So your best noon game, obviously, is Michigan-Penn State. That game is on Fox. If you want to watch that game, if you want to go to the Swamp and watch it, though, I mean, I'm sure they're going to be packed all weekend. A lot of specials going on as always, and what a great job they do over there at the Swamp restaurant. 3:30 game. To me, the best game is Tennessee at Missouri. That's an interesting game. Obviously, Gator fans are going to be paying attention because you got Missouri next. But, you know, if Tennessee beats Missouri, that doesn't mean Florida's going to beat Missouri. But that game is on CBS. That's it is kind of sad to be counting down these CBS games on SEC on CBS games. It was such a cool thing. I read a great story about it the other day about Roy Kramer kind of working the deal out. But anyway, and then the 7:30 game is Ole Miss at Georgia. Of course, Florida plays at 7:30 as well. Florida's game is on the SEC network. Ole Miss Georgia is on the ESPN network. I don't know how good a chance Ole Miss has of that game, but who knows? Like Lane Kiffin said, they got nothing to lose. You know, if you lose, no big deal. If you win, unbelievable. So we'll see how that all works out. But that game is on ESPN, as I said. And then 10:30, you've got a game on Fox, and it's a good one, USC at Oregon. You got to watch it. Here's why. USC is not going to stop anybody, and nobody can stop this. The score is going to be 59-57 or something like that. You know, Caleb Williams, obviously everybody making a big deal about him crying after the game. And I'm like, what? It's over for him. He's probably not going to win the Heisman. Although you can't say that I could vote for Jaden Daniels and not vote for Caleb Williams. I'm telling you, Caleb Williams is on my list. I got a list, a mental list. It's not written down. I know what it looks like. And it's about 6 guys that I'm going to sit around. There's nobody that's going to come out of nowhere for me. There's too many guys who've had too good of years. So I got about 6, maybe 7. There's a 7th guy I'm not sure about. And Caleb Williams is on it. It's not his fault that they're losing games. Not at all. But anyway, that'll be a fun one. Can we stay up till 10:30? Well, it's not staying up till 10:30. It's staying up till 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't know if I can do that, but I'm going to try. I promise you. So those are our Swamp games of the weekend, the Swamp restaurant. Plenty of specials over there, including Sangria Saturdays. You got to love that. All right, let's get to our Gainesville Quarterback Club great picks. Great time over there Tuesday night. Jimmy Travis was tremendous. He told this one joke. I'm going to retell it. I'm sure he doesn't mind. He said he had a gig at the Villages before he came there the night before, and he might have made it up, but it's a good joke. But he said, this woman we went out to a club and they wanted me to dance and everything. And this woman was looking at me and she goes, you know what? You look like my 3rd husband. And he said, well, how many times have you been married? She goes, twice. I told that joke to my wife and she laughed out loud. So it must be a good joke. All right, let's get to our Gainesville Quarterback Club great picks. Oh, by the way, Buddy Martin is the speaker Tuesday. Look forward to seeing him and introducing him, and then Coach Spurrier after him, and then we're pretty much done. But we have the holiday party and everything, so pretty much done. I'm taking LSU and giving the 13.5 against Florida. I got a feeling they're going to be ready to play. I think Florida's going to play hard. I have no doubt about that, and their defense is terrible, and I understand that. But all it takes, when the spread's 13.5 and you're up 7 and all of a sudden you get a pick 6 with a minute and a half to go, which almost happened the year that Trask almost beat them. I just got a feeling something like that's going to happen. So I'm taking LSU and the 13.5, given the 13.5. I'm taking a lot of favorites this week. I'm taking Georgia, and I'm giving the 10.5 to Ole Miss. That does seem like a lot of points for a team that has played as well as Ole Miss has, but Georgia at home, boy, they get such breaks in the schedule. Maybe next year is the year for Florida because Georgia's going to play so many of these teams on the road. Anyway, Alabama given 11 to Kentucky. I just don't know how much, and you never know in November how much teams are really caring right now. You just don't know. I mean, we're not there, so we can't tell. So, but I'm going to take Alabama and give the 11 points. I'm also going to take Michigan and give the 4.5 to Penn State. Of course, the big knock on James Franklin is when he plays top 10 teams, he's 3-10 or whatever he is. Well, it's hard to beat top 10 teams, okay? I don't think anybody's going to want James Franklin out of there. And then I'm taking one underdog, and that is Missouri, getting a 1.5 over Tennessee. I think Missouri is underrated. I think they're a really good team. I don't think people appreciate how good they are. I think we may find out next week. Although I don't want to hear Florida doesn't play well in Columbia, Missouri. I've seen them win there twice. They haven't played there that many times. They had one really bad game. They had one game after McElwain got fired. Yeah, they didn't show up for that game. I mean, I don't think it's a question of where the game is. I think it's a matter that I think in this case, Missouri is going to beat Tennessee. I'm calling it. We'll see what happens. All right. That is it for our Gainesville Quarterback Club's great picks. We appreciate all our friends over there. Finally, we get to Pat Dooley's story time, and it came up. Of course, it's always brought to you by Eastlake Pediatrics. Mike Jordan, our good friend over there down in Pinellas County, and does a great job. And good. I haven't seen Mike in a while. I need to see him again. In fact, we were texting back and forth. I said, man, we need to get together again. We haven't seen each other in a while. We were seeing each other a lot, but just because he was in town a lot. But anyway, I don't think you care about my social standing either. So Pat Dooley story time, we'll talk today about the fact that Florida is not tackling well. Okay, they aren't tackling well at all. We all know that. Too many ankle tackle tries, and it brought me back to that place of, I guess it would have been 2000, maybe. I think it was 2000, where Florida was playing Kentucky and really had a bad tackling game. I think they were playing Kentucky. It might have been the week going into Kentucky. Now that I probably should have looked it up. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. It's not the point of the story. The story is this. Spurrier has his Tuesday press conference like he always did. And he said, you know what? We aren't tackling good. I'm kind of tired of watching these guys trying to make these arm tackles and shoulders tackles. He goes, I tell you what we're going to do. You media guys, they had closed practice by then. So it might have been 01. But you media guys, media boys, he called us, and they had to change it, media boys and girls. You come out to practice today. We're going to let you watch tackling practice. And then when you watch tackling practice, maybe these guys will realize you've got to tackle, man. There's people paying attention to you. Maybe we're not hitting hard enough. Maybe they're not tackling well enough in practice. So they get to a point in practice, and all of a sudden, Spurs, we're all sitting there like cattle that have come out. Hey, coach. And coach says, all right, Pat Dooley and the media boys, come on over here. So we go over to the middle field and watched them practice tackling. All the defensive guys practicing tackling dummies and tackling other people. And then we were done. He was like, all right, that's it. And they did tackle better the next week, and they tackled better the whole season. So maybe here is the answer. Bring the media back out to practice and have them watch you guys tackle. Could turn your whole thing around. Who knows? But you're not tackling well right now. All right, that's going to do it for the show. We appreciate Zach for doing a wonderful job as well and straightening me out on the Giants. Quarterback, Tommy DeVito. That's something I thought I'd ever be saying. And we'll be back with the show again Monday. Maybe, just maybe, we'll have good things to talk about on Monday. I look forward to it. Till then, I am Pat Dooley. I am deep, I am way back, and I am out of here.